According to the Alzheimer's Association, Hispanics are 1.5 times more likely to develop Alzheimer's or a form of dementia. What's even more heartbreaking is being there and caring for a family member or a loved one who is already far into the stages of Alzheimer's or dementia. I met with two people who have experienced this in their own families and gathered some insight into how this disease impacted their lives, their ways of communicating with their family members, and how keeping alive the legacy of those who passed on is vital. My first interviewee was my grandpa Jorge, whose brother Pete had dementia and passed away just this year. He did not wish to appear on video, but did agree to an audio interview. So what kind of things would your brother Pete forget about, and when did you start to notice this change in him?
I first noticed it getting bad like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, it was just me thinking he was an old man,
Right.
you know, because he was, 89 or something when he started having problems.
Mm-hmm.
But it started getting worse and worse as time went by.
Right.
That he got to the point that he didn't know who I was. He knew my name, but he thought I was somebody else. He even envisioned his mom and his dad that passed away 60 years ago would come and visit him.
So what challenges, if any, did you or those around him face in trying to communicate with him?
Number one, he lost his hearing a while back. You had to repeat things and talk to him in a loud voice. Then he would get mad and say, "You don't have to yell at me," you know?
From my interview with my grandpa, I was able to gain knowledge in what it's like to have a sibling who's affected by this terrible disease. But in order to get some insight into what it's like to be a caretaker for a parent, I interviewed my boyfriend's dad, whose father passed away 12 years ago from Alzheimer's.
My dad was an amazing person. He was self-taught, especially in mathematics. He was a genius. When the Alzheimer's came in, it just slowly started. He started losing his mind, basically. And it got to a point where he didn't recognize us anymore, and that was really sad. And of course, he didn't recognize my mom. For a while, she was taking care of him. We would go out there every day, of course, but at night, that was when it was becoming very difficult. He would, as soon as we would lay him down, he would stand up, and he was lost. He thought, he was being held hostage by people he didn't know. Bouts of anger, and he was never like that. He was always very gentle, a very good person.
What was it like communicating with your father at that time? Were there any specific challenges that you faced?
At first, it was normal. It was a normal thing. And then as it set in, the Alzheimer's set in stronger and stronger. It was harder and harder to communicate, and so he thought that we were holding him hostage, and he didn't like that.
And what do you think is the importance of asking our family members about their life stories in terms of sustaining their legacy before it's too late?
Well, if, let's say, one of my grandsons is in there, he didn't know his great-grandfather. And if he would have seen him towards the end, he would have had a totally different view of how my father actually was before the onset of the disease. So it is very important. It's probably one of the most important things to do in keeping the family, not the legacy, but in remembering our loved ones, and stuff like that. We tend to remember mostly bad things, and it's really easy to forget the good things.
Preserving our family members' legacies are important, especially if they are afflicted with a disease like dementia or Alzheimer's. If we ask about their life stories and sustain their lasting impact by doing so, then we can remember them even after they're gone.